and advertisers.
All right, what's happening, everybody? Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us, Pushing the Limits. Thanks for being here. And we appreciate you being a part of the show. We got a lot to get to today. Trump is officially an adjudicated rapist. Yes, that's right. MAGA morons out there can no longer say, oh, well, he's not officially a convicted felon. Yes, today he is. And the reason why he wasn't punished or put on probation or going to jail is for one reason and one reason only. Because he's reelected as president of the United States. Otherwise, there's a possibility he would be. So just to be clear on that. We're also going to talk about Mark Zuckerberg claiming that the Biden administration forced him to take some things down on Facebook. Interesting how he says this stuff with no proof, by the way. A week before Donald Trump gets back into office and after he donates 7 figures to Donald Trump. We'll get to that as well. Updates on the fires. Really emotional interaction between a woman who lost her home and Governor Gavin Newsom. We are going to get to that as well. But I wanted to start off the show with a little bit of entertainment for you. So there are times that I join MAGA spaces. Now, what is a space? For those of you that don't know, it's when you go on X, people think they have their own show, which they don't. Anybody can do it, and it's just a bunch of people talking, right? And the host of the space, and sometimes the co-hosts, if they're a co-host, have the authority to mute you. But these are people that have never done real radio shows before. Many of them think that it's an actual show when it's not, and they just babble. But I go into some of these MAGA spaces, not necessarily to troll, but to give them a different perspective and see how they react to it. So I was in a MAGA space this week, and virtually everybody in the space was blaming Democrats for the fires in California, just like they blamed it on an open border policy for what took place in New Orleans, right? And a ton of misinformation and conspiracy theories. One person had made a statement that Hunter Biden had incest and had a child with someone in the Biden family. We had another person that came in there before I spoke that made the case that not only are all these fires arson, but it's a liberal, lefty, Antifa type person that's only doing this because Donald Trump is going to be back in office in a week. I mean, nobody was being questioned on any of the ridiculous things they said. And the people that were running this space have a very large platform, which was mesmerizing to me that with that platform, you don't take any responsibility. So, without further ado, I'm going to play you the moment where I stepped in and they gave me an opportunity to talk. And not everybody I disagreed with. There were some people that were criticizing Gavin Newsom, and I think some criticism is fair. So I spoke for a couple minutes, and then it just erupted. Have a listen to this.
All right, let's go to Pushing the Limits.
Hey, thanks, guys. So there's some things I've heard in this space that I do agree with. There's a lot that I disagree with. Let me start with what I agree with. Obviously, it shouldn't matter whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. What's going on in California is terrible. My heart goes out to everybody, and it's awful. And I do agree that it's fair to criticize Gavin Newsom. It's fair to criticize a lot of people, right? Obviously, this was a failure, right? We need to be better prepared in the richest country in the world for these things to happen. So I do agree. But I've also heard some things that I don't agree with. A lot of things that I don't agree with. For example, it's only the Democrats that make promises that they can't fulfill. Or, we're not, Democrats aren't planned. I mean, you could make the same argument in 2020 about COVID, when Barack Obama left Donald Trump a plan on how to deal with the global pandemic. I mean, how did that work out? He didn't use that plan. You could also make the case, build a wall. Mexico's going to pay for it. I'm going to end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. The point I'm trying to make is it happens on both sides. And all I've heard is blaming one side of the aisle. It happens on both sides. I've also heard conspiracy theories that somehow these fires were intentional because Donald Trump is going to be president in 2 weeks. That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before. I think that's absolutely crazy. It could have been intentional, but the idea that someone started these fires to try to make it difficult for Donald Trump makes absolutely no sense to me at all. I've heard that Joe Biden's got a new granddaughter and somehow it might have been incest with Hunter Biden. That sounded a little crazy to me. So I've heard a lot of things that
Who said that in this space?
there was somebody
Who
that
said that on this space? Nobody said that on this space.
okay, then maybe I misheard. 5 or 6.
So you lied to everyone on this space.
Okay.
Okay, so I didn't lie. People can go back and go to this space, and I'll post it. There was a gentleman who made a reference to Hunter Biden, and there could have been some incest when Joe Biden had mentioned the other day that he's a new granddaddy. I believe he said that at a press conference. Maybe the timing of it was a little wrong. I was not lying. Anybody can go back and listen to the space. I went back and I listened to it, and I was right.
5 or 6.
So you lied to everyone on this space.
Okay, so
you tried to group think
can I just
everyone
finish?
on the right
Can I
to this
just
space
finish?
by being dishonest.
Can I just finish? I mean, I waited for 2 hours and
Well,
I'm being attacked.
You lied.
Okay,
but
so
sure.
somebody. Okay, you can have that opinion, sir, if you'd like.
You lied. You lied. By the way, this is the same idiot who voted for Donald Trump. Let me just be very clear on that. You lied. Is that the Crypt Keeper? By the way, I think that was the same guy who made the statement, and then he got all offended because I was criticizing him for it.
2 hours and I'm being attacked.
You lied.
Okay,
but
so
sure.
somebody. Okay, you can have that opinion, sir, if you'd like. I heard
It's
somebody.
not an opinion. You're
Can I
dishonest.
finish, or are you just going to continue to interrupt me just because you disagree with what I'm saying? I kept quiet.
You're
I didn't
still
interrupt
dishonest.
anybody. Can I finish now? Is that? Can I finish now? Is that cool? Thank you. About 6 or 7 speakers ago, I heard some stuff about Hunter Biden. And if I misconstrued what somebody said,
Which I didn't.
because I'm not intentionally lying,
Which I didn't.
then I apologize for that. But the fact of the matter is that why is it that when we have a horrible tragedy, I think we all could agree this is a horrible tragedy, people losing their lives, their homes, their livelihood, why do people always want to make it political? Like what took place in New Orleans. It was a migrant. It was Joe Biden's open border policies, which we know had absolutely nothing to do with what took place there. I live in Las Vegas. The Tesla explosion. That was a lefty, crazy lunatic. When we learned, yeah, the guy had some issues. He was, and I don't really care what his political affiliation is, but it wasn't a lefty lunatic. I'm just wondering why we can't come together as a country and say mistakes were made. No question. It's very fair to criticize Gavin Newsom. I'm not going to say anybody doesn't have the right to do so. I criticized him on my show today. There's no question about that. But I heard on CNN today, Scott Jennings blame it on DEI hires, which is absurd, by the way. We just have to, I don't think that type of stuff is going to help the country. There's a lot of people that are suffering right now in California. And I don't think the first thing Donald Trump said on Truth Social, and this is a big problem, and you guys can tell me whether you agree or not. I think most people in this space, at least I would hope, when you see a tragedy like this or what happened in New Orleans, the first thing a normal human being does is say, oh my God, I feel for the victims and their families, not to score political points. The first thing Donald Trump did, I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
I'm pushing. Can I just remind you that your side of politics, when Donald Trump had an assassination attempt, there was a barrage of people that sat there and echoed that they wish he died and said,
okay, so
that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, number one. Number two, never once did I ever endorse or say anything positive about anybody trying to kill the former, now reelected president of the United States. Never once. Never have I endorsed violence in any way, shape, or form. But that is what these MAGA buffoons do. Whataboutism. Okay, notice how he didn't even address what I said. He immediately goes to Donald Trump's assassination attempts. And by the way, anybody that condoned it or thought it was good for the country is wrong. And I say that, and they still attack me.
I'm pushing. Can I just remind you that your side of politics, when Donald Trump had an assassination attempt, there was a barrage of people that sat there and echoed that they wish he died and said
Okay, so
some
what
of the
I'm
most
speaking,
horrific things.
so that's wrong.
And I'm saying I'm not saying you're subscribing to that.
Then why bring it
But
up?
a lot of the hate comes from your side.
Okay, so
First of all,
if you
this
could-
guy is
I
such
don't
a
condone-
this guy's such a dope. He says my side. All I've said in this space so far is that we shouldn't politicize tragic events. I didn't say I was a Democrat. I didn't say I voted for Joe Biden. I didn't even say I was anti-Trump. All I've said so far in this space is we shouldn't politicize tragedies like what took place in New Orleans, what's taking place in the California wildfires, even though I did say it's very fair to criticize Gavin Newsom. And this guy says, your side does it. It's just these people are so stupid. Go ahead.
Of people that sat there and echoed that they wish he died and said
Okay, so
some
what
of the
I'm
most
speaking,
horrific things.
so that's wrong.
And I'm saying I'm not saying you're subscribing to that.
No,
but
I'm not.
a lot of the hate comes from your side.
Okay, so first of all, if you could, I don't condone any of that stuff, by the way. And I am anti-Donald Trump, but I
You
don't.
actually
Well,
did.
hold on.
You can go MAGA on your page.
No,
So you know
hold-
what? Come
hold
here.
on.
You're anti-Donald Trump?
Oh my God, you're anti-Donald Trump? How dare you? They just went nuts when I said I'm anti. Oh my God, you don't support Cheeto Jesus? You don't support the liable sexual abusing felon? Oh my God, you don't support Donald Trump? Literally everybody in this space has an aneurysm. Listen to this. Oh my, listen to her voice. Oh my God, you don't support Donald Trump?
Hold on.
You can go MAGA on your page. So you know what? Come here.
You're anti-Donald Trump?
Here,
I'm not a
talk.
Oh yeah,
Let-
this guy's a rabbit.
Whoa!
Wow, there's like 10 people talking.
All right, let me talk here. So, listen, man. Where'd he go?
Yeah, they dumped
Did he
me.
get kicked?
I didn't go anywhere. They kicked me out. And this guy says he didn't do it.
I'm so glad y'all let that go because I swear I was about to get ready to cook on COVID. No, dear.
COVID?
I'm not sure anyway.
I'll fix to do something.
I didn't kick him, but I was.
So first of all, did I even mention COVID? Why is this lady bringing up COVID? By the way, she speaks here in a few moments and says some you know what crazy stuff. I didn't even bring up COVID. COVID had nothing to do with specifically in the last week or so of some tragedies. I didn't bring up COVID. I could have because a lot of people politicize that. Why is she bringing up COVID? And then they're going on my Twitter page and saying I'm anti-Trump. Yes, I'm anti-Trump. So what does that mean? You see how intolerant they are. For example, I welcome anybody to have a conversation with me to speak about Donald Trump. I might be getting Nancy Mace on the program Monday. I'm in talks with her media person. I get Republicans on this show all the time. But do you hear the craziness in these people when they, oh my God, you're anti-Donald Trump? How dare you? And then they bring up COVID. And then this guy says he didn't dump me. Let me be clear. The second I said I'm anti-Donald Trump, not only did they dump me from the space, but they all blocked me too. They blocked me. All the people there, I can't even go on their profiles. They all blocked me. Why? What did I say that was unreasonable? Yeah, I said I'm anti-Donald Trump at the end there. People interrupted me. They bring up the Trump assassinations, which obviously I don't condone. I never have, on or off the air. And then it gets really crazy because while they're all triggered, because everything I said, in my opinion, was pretty normal and pretty fair. In a sense, I said, let's not try to politicize and score political points during tragedies. Let's try to come together as a country. It's okay to criticize the governor. It's okay to criticize the mayor in LA. That's okay. Let's try to be factually accurate. And let's not politicize things. That's really all I said. And then the lady came in and said, oh, I saw your page. You don't like Donald Trump. I said, yeah, I'm anti-Donald Trump. And then they just lost it. And here's how it ended. It gets crazier.
Kick him, but I was gonna.
No, I was about to cook myself. No, dare did he come in this space and blame COVID on Donald Trump.
Well, here I'm the
Wait,
host.
can you
I'm the
I'm
host.
sorry, stop it one more time. When did I blame I didn't even bring up COVID. I'm sorry. Did anybody hear me bring up COVID or even blame Donald Trump for COVID? I didn't even bring up COVID. These people are so stupid. I never mentioned it. But the problem is these people don't listen. They're not capable of listening. I never brought up COVID. These people are crazy.
Fix to do something.
I didn't kick him, but I was gonna.
No, I was about to cook myself. No dare did he come in this room and blame COVID on Donald Trump.
Well, here I'm the host. I'm the host. He was saying that he was broad stroking us, but then he was saying don't broad stroke him. Is what he was saying. So he's a hypocrite.
Cut it again.
Exactly.
Cut it again.
He came here for
Cut it again. I don't feel like I was broad stroked. I wasn't broad stroking anybody in the room. I was making general terms of MAGA Republicans or people in general that try to politicize tragedy. I didn't accuse anybody in that room of doing it. And I didn't take it as a broad stroke when the guy said, people on your, even though one could make the argument, people on your side, I'm not even a Democrat, so it was a stupid statement. People on your side condoned the assassination attempts. First of all, no elected member in office that's a Democrat condoned it. I can't recall anybody with a large platform. Maybe there might have been a few lunatics on the far left that made positive comments about the assassination attempts. I don't condone that. I didn't take offense to it. I answered his question, and I said, I agree with you. That shouldn't be condoned. And then this guy said, I broad stroked everybody, and I'm a hypocrite. Really weird. Very strange. And I'll leave it to the last comment that this lady made, the same lady who said, I blame Trump for COVID, when I never even brought up COVID in this conversation. Have a listen to this.
Insider, that's all. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to listen, I was half asleep and I heard him talking, and half the things he said were things that I said that he said weren't true. And I knew right then and there he was full of it. So
I'm full of it because what is she talking? What is she talking about? Never said the word maggot.
Called out Barbie. I was like, oh hell no. So thank you for giving me the mic so fast. That was really good. Teamwork there.
Teamwork. What a bunch of weirdos.
I'm sorry, and I just want to make sure I correct, if it's okay, just give me 30 seconds to correct the record. COVID, basically, the whole thing about COVID was pre-planned before Donald Trump got in office. Look, I didn't agree. I still don't agree with him about the big, beautiful vaccine. But let's give credit where credit was due. On this part, COVID was pre-planned before Donald Trump got in office. Period, point blank. And it was planned by Bill Gates and also the Democrats. So that's just real. Okay, I'm done.
So first of all, I never even brought up COVID, so I don't even know why this lunatic, this crazy right-wing lunatic is even bringing that up. Number two, correct the record. COVID was pre-planned. I'm sorry, these people are so crazy. She said Bill Gates created COVID. Now, how can you have a respectful conversation with anybody that believes that stuff? These people are lunatics, and these are people that have large followings. And the other lady said half the stuff I said was false. What did I say? What did I say that was false? Now, I had an opinion that we shouldn't politicize tragedies. Is that false? I had an opinion that, and this isn't an opinion, this is a fact, that what happened in New Orleans was not somebody who crossed the border illegally. That was a fact, that a lot of people on the right said it was a migrant or it was Joe Biden's open border policies. That's factually accurate. I also agreed with one of the guys who interrupted me. And yeah, anybody who condoned an assassination attempt is wrong. I agreed with him. I wasn't painting any broad stroke on anybody. And I also said it's fair to criticize Gavin Newsom because we want to make sure that this doesn't happen again. What did I say? Name me one thing that I said in those 3 or 4 minutes that is factually inaccurate. That's not true. People don't politicize tragedies. People didn't politicize the Tesla explosion. People didn't politicize what happened in New Orleans. People didn't politicize and are still not politicizing these fires. What did I say that was not fact? Now, obviously, you can't have a semi-intelligent conversation with these morons, obviously. So what I've decided to do, and what I'm going to do every week, is I'm going to enter one of these MAGA spaces, and I'm going to share you the conversation because, number one, I enjoy it. Number two, I think it's very entertaining. And number three, I think it exposes how stupid these people are in these spaces. They literally have 20 or 30 speakers, It's like, can I say this on the air? It's like a big circle jerk. That's really what it is. It's a big MAGA circle jerk. They don't want anybody that disagrees with them. Did you hear how angry they got when I said I wasn't a Donald Trump supporter? You don't support Donald Trump? You don't support my Lord and Savior? It's like I was in a church and if I said I'm not religious, I'm an atheist. Really, that's what it was. It would be like if Charlie Kirk went to a Klan rally and said he didn't like the KKK. You don't like Donald Trump? Oh my God. Oh my God. You're not a MAGA supporter? How dare you? Get out of here. And by the way, I didn't go in there and the first thing Donald Trump's a rapist or Donald Trump's this, he's a felon. I didn't talk about any of that stuff. If you go back and listen to what I said, I was simply making the point that we shouldn't politicize horrible tragedies and we should do what we can to help people. I said we shouldn't blame stuff on migrants when we don't have the facts. And what I was trying to get to, the point I was trying to make until I was interrupted and the guy brought up Trump assassination attempts, which literally had nothing to do with what I was talking about, even though I agreed with him. So his point didn't make any sense. What I was trying to finish my point by saying the first thing Donald Trump talked about after the New Orleans tragedy, the first thing he said on Truth Social was blaming it on open border policy and a migrant. Same thing with these fires. The first thing he did was attack Democrats and Gavin Newsom. And again, if you want to criticize Gavin Newsom and the mayor, that's fine. But don't you think a normal, decent human being, the first thing that they should do is talk about the loss of life and those that have lost their homes and thoughts and prayers and all that stuff to show that you have empathy and you care about these people? No, not Donald Trump, not the MAGA right. They always want to score political points or they want to blame DEI hires the way Scott Jennings did on CNN, which I brought up, which was despicable. They want to blame it on DEI hires. They want to blame it on black people. And if that doesn't work, they blame it on migrants. And if that doesn't work, they can blame it on Joe Biden or blame it on George Soros. These people are despicable. But I'm coming for you, MAGA space. I'm coming for you. Because until now, I haven't really played any of these MAGA spaces that I've been on, and I'm going to start doing that from here on out moving forward to expose how stupid these people are. Why would you even bring up COVID? It's like, I remember guys, I was at it was the Kamala Harris rally, and there were some Trump protesters outside the rally. This was like several months ago. And remember, I was playing for you some of that audio when I was confronting these MAGA supporters, and they asked me if I was vaccinated, and some dumb moron decked out in Trump stuff said, don't talk to him, he's vaccinated. When the person that she voted for is vaccinated, Donald Trump is vaccinated, Melania Trump is vaccinated, but they're so stupid. They always want to bring up the vaccines. Another infectious disease expert in a MAGA space who thinks Bill Gates created COVID and the Democrats pre-planned it. I mean, these people are so stupid. You cannot have a conversation with these people. They're so dumb. And speaking of dumb, we are going to get to Senator Markwayne Mullin, who said some really idiotic things in regards to Barack Obama sitting next to Donald Trump. But before I do that, going back to the California fires, listen, as I say before and I say again, and I even said it about James Woods, I think James Woods is a horrible guy. He's a terrible guy. Says terrible things about people. He's a horrible person. But I don't wish that upon him, right? I don't wish that upon anybody. This is horrible. There are up to 10 people now, I believe, that have lost their lives in California. Fires continuing, people losing their livelihood. This is awful. Doesn't matter whether you have an R or a D next to you. This is terrible. We're all human beings. This is awful, right? So there's a video that's been circulating online. And obviously this mother is in desperation. And my heart goes out to her and her daughter. Their home was destroyed. And it's terrible. And my heart goes out to her. And I'm understandable that she is very emotional. But Gavin Newsom is trying to do everything he can at this point. Some might say it's not enough. Okay, fine. So this woman confronts him. And I want you to listen to this interaction. Here we go.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because
can't-
I
it
don't
doesn't-
believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So
There's
let's
no
get
cell
it.
service.
Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. Losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild. We're getting
Why
the
was there no
resources to do
water
it.
in the hydrants,
That's all
Governor?
being, that's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to
Right.
be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
I literally.
I would fill up the hydrants myself. But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, incling making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do.
guys.
Can I
He needs to
have
call
an
the president.
opportunity
He
to at
needs
least
to-
tell
he needs to
people
call
you're
the
doing what you're saying you're doing?
Thank you.
Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact
Yes,
information?
Right
right
there.
now. Right now.
So Gavin Newsom handled that about as well as you could. And I am also very understandable that this woman is going through a lot. And sometimes when you're going through a lot and you're emotional, maybe you don't react or respond in the way that you normally would. I'm very understanding of that. However, very ignorant comments that she made. First of all, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people have been displaced. That doesn't mean you have the right to listen to a private conversation between the governor and the president of the United States, unless it's a press conference. So that was a stupid statement, number one. Why should you be able to listen to that conversation? Number two, she said, I don't believe it. You think the governor is lying to you? He's not trying to get in touch with the president? Why is the president not taking your call? How many times did the governor say in that conversation, I don't have cell service? In the video, he literally shows her his phone that he's trying to contact the president. Why would she say, I don't believe you? Again, very stupid thing to say. He's literally trying to contact the president of the United States while she's telling him, I don't believe you, and I want to fill up water hydrants. Very ignorant. I understand she's emotional. I feel for her. She just lost her home. Maybe she's not acting rationally. Maybe she's not behaving the way she normally would. Understandable. I get that. She still said a lot of things in that conversation that are stupid. What do you want the governor to do now? Now, we can talk Monday morning quarterback and say this should have been done. That should have been done. He's doing everything he can right now. Helicopters and planes, 24/7. They couldn't do that when there were 100-mile-per-hour winds, but people don't seem to understand that. The hydrants. We've had calls coming into the show. They ran out of water. That is not necessarily true, and people have been saying that in press conferences. There's a lot of factors for why there wasn't water in some of those hydrants. There's multiple reasons why, and people have talked about that. Professionals. Correct. Somebody on social media said pressure. That is also correct. Now, listen, that's unacceptable. Got to make sure that doesn't happen again. I agree. Let's criticize the people who are responsible for that. But it wasn't because they ran out of water. They had enough water 2 feet deep, 2 football fields. It's very difficult. Very difficult. And the conditions have been horrid. They've been terrible. Is it possible that arson might have also played a factor? Certainly possible. Let the investigations run itself, and then we'll make that assessment. But having someone in the street run up to the governor and say, hey, I want to listen to the call between you and the president is stupid. It's not going to happen, and it's a dumb request. Okay? It's a dumb request. Oh, governor, I don't believe you. Fine, then don't believe him. Get out of the way and let him do his business. Get out of the way, because you're not helping the situation any. Holy smokes. That's what, and I don't know what her political affiliation is. As I said, I feel for her. But that's what these MAGA morons do. All of a sudden, they're weather experts, they're meteorologists, they're transgender experts. They're experts on the psyche of someone who is a homosexual, apparently. They're experts when it comes to firefighting and attacking blazes. They're infectious disease experts. I mean, these people have no credibility. Zero. And speaking of someone that has no credibility, Senator Markwayne Mullin. Because as you know, Jimmy Carter's funeral was yesterday. I thought Joe Biden's speech was so fantastic and beautiful. I also thought it was really funny that nobody wanted to shake Donald Trump's hand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the only people that shook his hand because they almost felt obligated to was Al Gore and Mike Pence. Mike Pence's wife wouldn't even look at him, wanted nothing to do with him. Everybody else, George W. Bush walked right past Donald Trump, refused to shake his hand. Even George W. Bush gets along with Barack Obama, gave him like a slap on the chest. Hey, what's going on? Everybody was shaking everybody's hands there. Everybody, except for Donald Trump. And then you have that horrible, horrific human being, Melania Trump, who's just sitting there in the corner looking like she's miserable and she doesn't want to be there. I can't blame her for not wanting to be sitting next to Donald Trump. But how about show some respect and decency and shake the hands, put your hand out and be gracious, even if you don't like people? I believe that's why Mike Pence did that. Now, if I was Mike Pence, I wouldn't have. His wife certainly didn't want any part of him. So Barack Obama, being the decent human being that he was, exchanged a few pleasantries. Even though he didn't shake the hand of Donald Trump, he was forced to sit next to him. And he exchanged a few pleasantries with him. Because Barack Obama has class. And I want you to listen to what the guy who wears the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7, the guy with zero credibility, the 4-foot-tall coward, Markwayne Mullin, had to say about that interaction. It's mesmerizing. Have a listen to this.
About a redemption story, right? I mean, the greatest political comeback of all times. And what you see right there is Barack Obama realizing it and realize that he kind of probably should kiss a ring because President Trump is the most popular man in the world and probably the most popular man in our lifetime around the world. And everybody recognizes that now. And the president sets in President Trump is sitting in a good spot, and he's very relaxed. I mean, I've seen a completely different side of him since November 6th, that he's very relaxed, very happy, and is willing to just kind of put bygones behind him and move forward.
Okay, so first of all, Donald Trump is not the most popular man in this country, and he's not the most popular person in the world. Less than half the people that voted for him. Yes, he won the popular vote, but he's not the most popular person even in this country when almost half the people that voted can't stand him and voted against him. That's number one. Number two, the idea that Barack Obama is kissing the ring because he didn't ignore Trump and he exchanged a few words with him is probably the dumbest take I've ever heard in my life. Let me be very clear. The people that are kissing Donald Trump's ring are the people like Markwayne Mullin and the people that said he was incompetent, the J.D. Vances of the world who compared Donald Trump to Adolf Hitler. Those are the people that are kissing the ring. MAGA Republicans and Republicans in general that know exactly who Donald Trump is are the ones that are kissing the rings, the ones that have no backbones, the Kevin McCarthys of the world, the ones that spoke out against Donald Trump and said he was unfit for office, the Ted Cruzes of the world. Those are the ones that are kissing the ring. The idea that Barack Obama exchanged a few words with Donald Trump at the funeral of Jimmy Carter means that he's kissing the ring of Donald Trump might be certainly the dumbest take so far in 2025. I'm sure we'll have plenty more. Markwayne Mullin is a complete imbecile. And even as much as he hates Matt Gaetz, which I agree with him and I understand why, Markwayne Mullin can't stand Matt Gaetz. He still defended Matt Gaetz when he found out Donald Trump wanted him to be the attorney general. So if there's anybody that's kissing the ring and has no backbone and wears the Donald Trump knee pads 24/7, it's Markwayne Mullin and so many of these other MAGA morons within the party. Speaking of MAGA morons, let's talk a little bit about Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg stayed pretty silent in going after Joe Biden or Democrats for the last 4 years. He's very silent. And then all of a sudden, a week ago, he donated $1 million, which is pennies to us, to Donald Trump. Why did he do that? Well, he did that because, in a way, it's a smaller version of a copycat system of Elon Musk. He did that because he knows it's beneficial for him and his company if he takes the side of Donald Trump. Because Mark Zuckerberg has no backbone either. He only cares about his bottom line. He only cares about how much money Facebook makes and his investors. Very similar to Elon Musk, maybe just not on a big a scale as what Elon Musk has done. So he donates $1 million. Then he shows up on Joe Rogan's show yesterday. Why is he all of a sudden doing Joe Rogan's show? Well, so he can trash Joe Biden because he knows he has a listener of one in Donald Trump. Have a listen to this.
So at the beginning, it kind of seemed like, okay, we should give a little bit of deference to the government and the health authorities on how we should play this. But when it went from, 2 weeks to flatten the curve to, and like in the beginning, it was like, okay, there aren't enough masks. Masks aren't that important. To then it's like, oh no, you have to wear a mask. And, everything was shifting around. It just became very difficult to kind of follow. And this really hit the most extreme, I'd say, during the Biden administration when they were trying to roll out the vaccine program. And I'm generally pretty pro rolling out vaccines. I think on balance, the vaccines are more positive than negative. But I think that while they're trying to push that program, they also tried to censor anyone who is basically arguing against it. And they pushed us super hard to take down things that were honestly were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like, well, we're not going to do that. We're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
it was
that talk about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration.
People in the Biden administration. Are you going to give us a name? I find it interesting, Mark, that after you donate $1 million to Donald Trump and he's a week outside of getting back into office, now all of a sudden you want to criticize the Biden administration. Okay. Do you have any emails? If somebody in the Biden administration, as you claim, which I don't believe, was forcing you to take stuff down or threatening you or whatever term you want to use, why didn't you record any of those conversations? You're Mark Zuckerberg. Clearly you have the technology to do that. Why all of a sudden now are you sharing this? And when you say people, that doesn't really narrow it down. Oh, well, there were people in the administration. Who? Give us a name of somebody in the Biden administration that put that pressure on you. But Mark Zuckerberg didn't do that. He doesn't have any emails to prove that. He doesn't have any phone calls because apparently he didn't record any of the calls, and he doesn't have any names. All we have is Mark Zuckerberg's word. Now, everybody on the far right didn't care what Mark Zuckerberg had to say for years. Now, all of a sudden on social media, they're posting this clip, and all of a sudden now they believe Mark Zuckerberg. Let me be very clear on this. Mark Zuckerberg is a liar. I don't believe him. Is it possible that people made some good points within our government and said, hey, this is misinformation, ivermectin doesn't do this, this is that information, we recommend that you don't put that. That's possible. I'm not going to deny that. But when he talks about all these Biden officials that put all this pressure on him to censor people, where is the evidence? Oh, well, I had a phone call. Oh, really? Joe Rogan actually asks a really good question. Doesn't press him on it, of course, as I would, but he says, who was putting this pressure on you? Oh, just people in the Biden administration. What people? Give me a name. Who were they talking to? Did you record any of the phone calls? Do you have any of the emails? Of course he doesn't, because he's lying. Now, you might be saying, Brian, why would he lie? Because he knows Donald Trump is in office the next 4 years, and if there's anybody that can hurt Facebook in his bottom line, it's Donald Trump. So he wants to play nice to Donald Trump, just like Jeff Bezos, who has been attacking Donald Trump for years, and now all of a sudden he wants to play nice with him. I guarantee you this interview doesn't happen if Donald Trump wasn't reelected. Never happens. If Donald Trump wasn't reelected, Bezos doesn't cover his bases and doesn't play nice with Trump. Certainly Mark Zuckerberg doesn't. These people are liars. All they care about is their company and their investors and their bottom line. Bow to the king. They don't care about anybody else. It's so obvious to me, but now all of a sudden everybody on the right, they believe Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, Mark, show me the proof. Show me the proof. Now, if Donald Trump loves what you're saying, show me the proof. Who did you speak with in the Biden administration? You didn't record any of these phone calls. You would think if somebody in the government, or in this case, allegedly, somebody in Joe Biden's administration was pressuring you unwarranted, that maybe you would record some of these conversations. Why doesn't Mark have any names? Why didn't he record any of the conversations? Because it's unprovable. He's never going to give out that information. He shows up on Joe Rogan's show for one reason and one reason only, to bash the Biden administration so that Donald Trump, he's seen in good light when it comes to Donald Trump. It's a joke. It's ridiculous. Mark Zuckerberg is a lying piece of turd. That's what he is. And the fact that his wife is actually, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, in the medical field makes this even more embarrassing. By the way, before we take some phone calls, Mel Gibson also made an appearance on Joe Rogan's show. Yes, that's right. Mel Gibson was claiming that ivermectin cures cancer. Because if Mel Gibson isn't calling black people the N-word, or he's not going after Jews, which we know he's an anti-Semitic racist piece of human garbage, now he's putting out medical misinformation that somehow ivermectin cures cancer, which we know is 150% not true. But Mel Gibson is an idiot, and Joe Rogan doesn't press these people on this stuff. So we've talked about a lot today. Donald Trump is now an adjudicated felon. That is official. So for all you right-wing turds out there, oh, well, look at the New York statute. Look at the laws in New York. He's not a convicted felon until the judge signs off on it, for lack of a better term. Well, Judge Merchan did do that today. And the only reason why he's not going to jail, the only reason why he's not on probation, the only reason why there's not a penalty is because he's reelected as president of the United States. That's the only reason. It's not because there was no merit in the case. It's not because a jury of his peers didn't find him guilty, because they did. It's not because they didn't see evidence, because they did. The only reason why Donald Trump is not going to be held accountable to the extent of a punishment is because he was reelected. But make no mistake about it, for the rest of Donald Trump's miserable life, I hope, he is a convicted felon, period. And the MAGA crowd can say until the cows come home, oh, but it was unfair. Doesn't matter. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take some phone calls when we come back. It's 702-221-7283. This is going to be the segment where you guys call in. And for those of you out there that, use your Trump figures that say there's no merit in the case, it wasn't fair. Okay, go ahead and tell me why. Because maybe you saw the evidence that the jury saw. Maybe you know something I don't know. So we're talking about that. There's a lot to get to, not just Donald Trump. We're talking about the wildfires in California. You can even comment on my space that I was in. Not my space, but the MAGA space that I was in, which I thought was hilarious because these people are unhinged. Desperate Mother, we played that audio speaking to Gavin Newsom. I did have some criticism for her in that conversation. And, of course, Markwayne Mullin. Please check out my new website before we take a break and then get to calls. 702-221-7283, the number to call, by the way. My website is pushingthelimits.live. Getting emails from people every single day, and they say, how can I get more involved and support what you do? Well, this is an independently owned radio show. What can you do to help us? Go to my website, subscribe to my YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. That's at PTL Radio Show. Subscribe for free on YouTube. We sell merchandise, hats, beanies, you name it. We sell it on our website. You could also make donations on there, monthly donations of $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford. We appreciate. You all do that on my website, pushingthelimits.live. So we are going to take some phone calls when we come back. A lot to talk about, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a lot to talk about. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds. That's about 75 seconds longer than Donald Trump's sexcapades with Stormy Daniels, but I wish I could get $130,000 for 15 seconds. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in about 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Have you ever dreamed of having your own radio show or a podcast, but just didn't think it was possible? Well, dreams can come true. Radio U. Radio U is a 5-day course that'll teach you how to acquire your dream show. We'll teach you how to host, how to write commercial, how to interview, how to market, how to write a contract, and most importantly, how to monetize your dream radio show. You'll learn from some of the best in the business with over 75 years in broadcast experience. You'll learn from people like me. And the best part? Every single student will be live on the radio as part of the class. Plus, one student from each class will get their very own radio show. You'll be live on the air right here in Las Vegas. Radio U. The 5-day course is being offered at $699. For more information, give Radio U a call. 702-763-5024. That's 702-763-5024. Or check them out at radioyou101.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits. Please check out the official gaming bar of the PTL radio show. Of course, I'm talking about Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Pass the puck contest during Vegas Golden Knights games where you could win up to $500 in free slot play. I've seen it happen. More ways to win free slot play on the weekends and chances to win a free bottle of wine. The more you play, the more you earn, and the more you get. Check them out, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. You know, I want to defend TikTok here, if I may, because it appears as though the Supreme Court may be in favor of banning TikTok in America, which, by the way, I disagree with. But I think TikTok does a pretty good job, actually, in policing bad behavior, threats, racism, bigotry, and I applaud TikTok for that. X does not. I mean, there is so much bigotry and hatred on X, and they claim in their guidelines on X that, you know, we don't tolerate harassment. We don't tolerate this and that. But then when you report stuff, they say they didn't break any rules. X is a joke. If you're going to ban anything, you probably should ban X. I'm just saying. But that's the way some of these conservatives on the Supreme Court think. They don't want to ban assault weapons and things that truly harm us, but they want to ban TikTok. I defend TikTok on this one. This is a joke. Here's where me and Donald Trump actually agree. TikTok should stay where it is. I think TikTok, out of all the social media platforms, I would say TikTok probably does the best job in policing bad behavior. So we'll see what happens. All right, number to call, 702-221-7283. Man, do we have a lot to talk about. Let's start off with Joseph. Joseph is first. What's up, Joseph?
How you doing today, Brian?
What's up, Joseph?
Oh, some e pluribus and I'm a little semper fidelis. I had a question for MAGA a couple weeks ago, right? And it was, what makes it okay? Where's the standard, right, with them in terms of what a commander-in-chief is supposed to be, and how is it okay for a convicted felon to be that?
Yeah.
I mean, if Herb or Al would like to jump in front of that train, you know, by all means.
I know what they'll say. Listen, I agree with you, obviously, but you know what they would say? Oh, well, he was framed. Alan Dershowitz went on TV today, that buffoon who was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein, by the way. I wanted to add that in there. Alan Dershowitz was saying, we shouldn't call him a convicted felon because he was framed. No, Alan, that's not how it works.
But you could try and frame it that way. And here's what I'm saying, because I live in the real world where context matters. And a jury found him guilty.
Correct.
On 34 counts, yep. Right? Not like 33 of 34 or 32 of 34. 34 of 34. They were very clear about that.
Correct.
And then, granted, they're not going to send him to jail and all this kind of stuff because that'll create a giant mess and people are afraid of what will happen. Yada, yada. I get that. But he is a convicted felon.
Can you imagine?
By all determinative means.
So there's somebody on social media. I want to ask you this. There's somebody on social media that said, can you imagine if Kamala Harris was a convicted felon and she had won? What Republicans would be saying? Like, can you imagine that?
Let's forget about saying. Let's talk about what they would build. I'm sure it would have at least 3 pieces of wood and a rope.
Yeah. Listen, I don't.
Okay. There would at least be a half a dozen Molotov cocktails in the first sedan that pulled up to her house.
I don't disagree.
Right.
I don't disagree with you.
This is the difference between rational people and those who thought MAGA was something patriotic. And if you're hearing my voice, if you think you're a patriot and you got MAGA nonsense in your house, you're waving you're not. I just called you a punk ass. As a Marine, you are a punk. You are a lost soul, and that's it. We can't help you until you want to have a real soul, until you want to stand for something.
Well, I thank you for your service, my friend. You're a hero, and you'll
Have
always
a great day, Brian. If somebody in MAGA wants to answer me,
sure,
have at it.
Yeah, well, you'll always have a platform on this show, my friend. You're a hero, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. 702-221-7283. Paul is next. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next on PTL. What's up, Paul?
Hey, man. Mark Zuckerberg is a bum. I mean, the guy started out stealing Facebook from a friend. It was supposed to be some kind of dating network. And then he brings on Dana White, who slaps his wife on the board of directors last week. He donates $1 million to a liable rapist and a convicted felon. And then he has a $280 million compound in Hawaii. And I've been there, Brian. And you know what he's doing? He's buying up all the land from the Hawaiian people, and I've spoken to them for hours at breakfast. The land that their 10, 15 generations go back, he doesn't give a crap. He wants everything for himself. He doesn't care. Who in the hell needs a 1,400-acre piece of property in Hawaii when they can't even afford to buy a house because they've been priced out of their own land that their great ancestors have grown up on?
So I agree with you, Paul. Now, the Facebook movie I thought was pretty good. Everybody that watched that movie that knows Mark Zuckerberg, everybody, literally, said that it was very factually accurate. The only person that denied a lot of stuff in there was Mark Zuckerberg. Literally, it shows you what type of person he is. He is a two-faced phony who will backstab you. It doesn't matter how long you've been friends with him. The only reason why he's now attacking the Biden administration, I add with no proof, he hasn't given any names, there's no emails, and there's no recorded phone calls, is for an audience of one, Donald Trump, who he just donated 7 figures to, because he's afraid of Donald Trump. The same reason why Jeff Bezos donated money to Donald Trump. They both know what a scumbag Donald Trump is. They all know that the liable rapist orangutan is a horrible human being, but they also know it'll be better for their bottom line to be in the good graces with Cheeto Jesus. Mark Zuckerberg is a two-faced phony.
He is. How do we, I guess, I know I always want to come up with solutions. I don't know how we fix this oligarchy, because that's what it is. We have Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Bezos, Trump, the Cook brothers. They're all running literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
How do you fix a system that the Republicans won't, they just want more money? I don't know how the normal people.
Here's the start. The start is stop giving the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%. Make sure they pay their fair share. I actually think I agree with the left on this. I actually think if you force the billionaires and the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies and these large companies to pay more of a fair share, then it will help America financially. But we know that Donald Trump is, for the next 4 years, is going to be doing the opposite of that. It's what conservatives do, Paul. So I think you start there.
They keep voting. This is what go back to my idiot comment. They keep voting for Republicans. They give the rich people tax breaks, and then they complain when capitalism jacks up the price. Because here's what's going to happen in L.A., Brian. You know what's going to happen? It's the same thing that happened in Hawaii. People don't have insurance. They can't afford to buy their house. A bunch of rich people domestically and in China are going to buy the property, and they're going to turn them into rental properties, and they're going to jack up the price of rent and force people out of buying houses because they can't afford it.
Well, you know what? I agree with you, Paul, and I appreciate the call. Sadly, in a couple of years, we're all going to say, we told you so. When the economy tanks, it'll probably be less than 2 years, where inflation will be going way up, the unemployment numbers will be going way up, your 401k will be going down the toilet, and just like Trump's Truth Social and so many of people that have invested in his companies and it's gone way south, that's what's going to happen with the economy. And some people sadly don't care about it, Paul, but I agree with you. 702-221-7283. Tony is next. Hey, Tony, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. Look, man, I'm going to be honest. With everything that's going on, I don't know. I don't want to give up, but it's just, the truth is, facts, context, reality, these are all subjective to MAGA and the Republicans. I mean, you say, in a couple of years, the economy's going to change all of a sudden. Even if it does, they're still going to find some mental gymnastics to say it isn't, or to say
they'll blame Joe Biden.
Like,
They'll blame.
They don't care.
They'll blame migrants. They'll blame Joe Biden. They'll blame transgenders. They'll blame teachers. They'll blame whoever they can blame other than themselves. Donald Trump has never taken responsibility for any of the things he's done in his life. He never has, whether it be so many of his companies tanking, whether it be the 25 women that have accused him of sexual assault or rape. When he's found liable for sexual abuse, what does he do? He defames E. Jean Carroll on CNN. So this is a guy who's never taken and Don Jr. is a perfect example of the MAGA idiots out there, right? During these fires, when so many people are losing their homes and sadly some are losing loved ones, what is Don Jr. doing? He takes a trip to Greenland looking like the doofus that he is. Did you see the picture, my friend?
Don't get me started on Greenland.
Did you see the picture, my friend, that Don Jr. took with about 8 or 9 Greenland people that were wearing MAGA hats? Did you see that picture?
Yeah.
So guess what?
They were just a bunch of homeless people.
Yeah. Several media sources have confirmed, and with names, by the way, now, that those people, some of whom were homeless, who were offered a free meal, a free warm meal, if they put on a MAGA hat and took a picture with Don Jr. That is the MAGA party today. So instead of Don Jr. being in California helping people, or Donald Trump being in California helping people, or if he did fly out there, he'd be throwing out MAGA hats and toilet paper. Instead of doing that, he takes a trip, Don Jr., to Greenland with that white supremacist turd, Charlie Kirk, and they have a couple drinks and then they leave. These people are embarrassing.
And then, Brian, the fact is they don't care. Like, even when they're called out, even when it's proven, they don't care. I mean, a great example. On Fox News, you literally had a guest host say, Harry Truman tried to buy Greenland in 1867. I don't know what was worse, that she said that she read it off of notes, which means time was taken to write them down.
What this gentleman is talking about, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's unbelievable. This Fox News contributor was reading notes and gave out the year before the guy was ever even in office.
Exactly. And like I said, I don't know what's worse, that she read it, that it was written down, so whoever wrote it down didn't notice, or the fact that nobody in that room noticed. No one said anything, and that's the point.
Fox News.
They could completely say something false.
Yeah.
They could say something that's been proven beyond a doubt to have happened.
Yeah.
And they just that didn't happen. Like I said, it's subjective. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think fighting these people with the truth anymore is going to work.
No,
I mean, I know they say you shouldn't stoop to their level, but I think that's the only language they understand. I think that we're going to have to stop playing nice.
I agree with you. If you listen to this show for a while, you understand that I've been saying that for a very, very long time. Got to stop playing nice with these idiots. That's what they are. They're idiots. And I haven't been nice to these people when they listen for years because I've known the threat that they are. I knew that this would happen. And you got that Nimrod, that absolute Nimrod, Don Jr. Take a look at this picture as we show it to all of you that are watching on the Occupy Democrats Network, the Washington Press Network. If you're watching live right now on my YouTube page, we're showing the picture of that doofus, Biff, Don Jr. And you see, it's already been verified. Most of the people, not all of them, but most of the people in this picture are homeless people that were approached by those in the Don Jr. camp to put on a MAGA hat and take a picture with Don Jr., and we'll provide you a meal. This is the same kind of attitude. This is the same kind of attitude that Ron DeSantis had. Remember when he gave, or members of his administration gave all those that were seeking asylum brochures and got them on a plane and send them to Cape Cod? Own the libs. These people don't care about human beings. They don't care who you are. They don't care if you're homeless. They use you as a prop, just like Ron DeSantis used those migrants on that plane as a prop to own the libs. Don Jr. used some of those homeless people in Greenland as a prop so that they can make the case that all these people in Greenland are all MAGA supporters, which is what his idiot, adjudicated rapist father said. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Kim. Kim is next up on PTL. Hey, Kim, what's going on, man?
Hi, how are you?
Good. What's on your mind today, Kim?
Okay. got about 7 points. Judge Merchan definitely made his decision, and Trump will always be known as a 34-count felon. He's also an adjudicated sexual assaulter or rapist. Markwayne is a joke and disgrace as a man and representative. He will never outwit leaders like Jasmine Crockett. Michael Steele schooled MSNBC Joe and Mika. Your MAGA space, whatever you participated in, God bless you for doing that for us. And I heard and saw on Midas Touch that the 11th Circuit has reversed Judge Cannon, and the report can be released on Sunday.
Good. That's great news. Judge Cannon, what an embarrassment she is, huh? Oh, my God.
Yep. So I guess our new title for the POTUS would be the Felon Rapist Fraudster Commander-in-Chief.
There you go.
And
there you go.
Last thing for me to say is I'm so glad we're seeing pushback by other leaders of different countries, and he's definitely fucking around with the wrong people.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate you. Strong words there. We ask that you do watch your language. We do have some FCC regulations here, but I appreciate your call. Thank you, my dear. 70 doesn't take away from the points that you made, which were very good points. All right, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Lou. Lou is next up on PTL. What's up, Lou?
First off, Brian, as a Californian, my heart goes out to the people down in Southern California.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Trump, as a convicted felon, he's already disqualified, so why give him the oath of office? Why bother?
Well, I agree with you, Lou. That's a question that a lot of people have asked. How can we live in a country where a convicted felon could be the president of the United States? Let me be very clear. If you're a convicted felon, you're not allowed to buy a gun. There's many countries that Donald Trump will not be able to travel to. You're not even, if you walked into a McDonald's today, they would give you a form to fill out, and they ask you if you're a convicted felon because they don't want convicted felons to run or work or even flip burgers in a McDonald's. Why should we want a convicted felon to be the leader of the free world with the nuclear codes? It's so stupid.
Right, exactly. He shouldn't even take the oath of office. Why bother? Yeah. But regarding that Markwayne Mullin, he should go back to his old job cleaning out sewers because nothing but sewage comes out of his mouth.
The guy's such a coward. He's such a coward. Do you remember that moment where he stood up and he physically challenged somebody in the chambers that was a witness? Do you remember that?
Oh, that would have been cool. Guy from the union.
By the way,
that would have been a sight to see.
Yeah, Markwayne Mullin, he's about 4 feet tall, by the way. He's got short man syndrome. But listen, regardless of how tall he is, the bottom line is Markwayne Mullin, again, he's not a lawmaker. He's a noisemaker with no backbone, and he thinks that Obama was kissing the ring of Donald Trump because they exchanged a few words together. By the way, Obama didn't even shake his hand. He's such a moron to even mention something like that. Barack Obama has more decency and a more backbone and more decency in his pinky than Markwayne Mullin does in his whole 4 foot tall body.
You pointed it out. Obama has class, Trump doesn't.
Yeah.
Brian, I just have to give you some advice, man. Going on these MAGA spaces, you're going to need a heavy-duty scrubbing brush to remove the MAGA slime.
That might be true, but I'm sacrificing.
The MAGA slime, yeah.
That might be true, but I'm sacrificing. I don't want to get the MAGA herpes, but it's entertaining to hear how angry they get when I say I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. So I'm going to continue to do it because a part of it is fun for me, and I think it's good content to share it with all of you. 702-221-7283. Terry's next. What's going on, Terry?
Hi, Brian. Welcome to the dumbing down of America, brought to you by MAGA. I really applaud you for challenging them with their lies and misinformation, and they just don't want to hear the facts. And I'm tired of this thing about COVID, that it was pre-planned. That is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
These people are crazy.
They are.
And to me, they're just dangerous, especially when, you told them that you were anti-Trump. I mean...
Oh, my God. Are you anti-Trump? We got to play that on the show every day. Oh, my God.
Absolutely. I mean...
Yeah. Wait, you don't support a liable, adjudicated rapist, 34-count felon? What's wrong with you? You don't belong in this space. Oh, my God. And then they wonder why we call them cultists.
Right. Exactly.
Go buy your Trump Bible and go fly a kite. These people are sick, and they're some of the dumbest people America has to offer.
Absolutely. Keep on doing what you're doing there.
Thank you, my
Appreciate
dear.
you.
Have a great weekend. I
All right.
appreciate you as well. Thank you for calling in. 702-221-7283. Colin is next, I believe, right? Let's go to Colin. Colin, what's going on?
Hey, Brian. As the one was saying, they're like cultists because if you think about it, the way that they process stuff is about like the dear leader, their dear leader, Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yep.
In a sense where everything is just, it's his words, his sayings. It's like Heaven's Gate, but, with buffoonery, as I would say.
Well, there's certain people, right, that you can't rationalize with. For example, I'm gonna read a comment because it's so stupid, but it's actually exactly what you and I are talking about. There's somebody on social media that just said Brian thinks men can have babies. First of all, I've never said that, and I don't believe that. And number two, can you name me one prominent Democrat in office today that thinks men could have babies? They say things that are so stupid because they can't actually have a conversation. And that's the kind of guy who won't call in and have a debate with me, but uses his little Trump fingers and says something abundantly stupid that nobody believes. I certainly don't believe that. I mean, it's just these are not serious people. These are very uneducated, stupid people.
Yeah, and it's not the plot to Junior, for Christ's sake. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. You could say Christ on this show anytime, and if the evangelical right have a problem with it, I will call him Cheeto Jesus every 8 seconds.
Yeah, it's basically, I'm not a religious person, but in the Bible it says you cannot worship a false god.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. I want to get your thoughts on this, okay, my friend? I'm going to keep you on for this. So there's somebody on social media that has a problem with me calling people turds. So let me ask you a question. If you're found liable for sexual abuse, you think it's okay to call that person a turd? I'll ask you some yes or no questions. What do you think? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
If you're the kind of person that dodges the military multiple times, you think it's okay to call that person a turd?
Yeah, I'd call him more than a turd. I'd call him more.
But you agree with
SOB.
me? Yeah, of course. If you're the kind of person that craps on our military, suckers and losers, says doesn't respect John McCain because he was captured, is it okay to call that person a turd?
Absolutely.
If you have somebody who has been accused of by over 25 women, including his ex-wife, of sexual abuse, is it okay to call that person a turd?
Yes.
Thank you. You made my point for me, my friend. But, it's interesting because they'll call Kamala Harris a whore, which she's not. And they'll say some of the worst possible things about decent human beings like Joe Biden, who's a decent person. But yet, if you call out Donald Trump with evidence and proof, like, for example, he's now officially a 34-count felon, he is a liable sexual abuser, they'll get all offended. But they'll say anything they want about the left. They'll call us pedophiles, even though I'm not the left. Because I'm anti-Trump, they'll call me a pedophile. I say, why am I a pedophile? Why would you think I'd be sexually attracted to children? Oh, because you don't like Donald Trump. How can you rationalize with somebody like that, my friend? How?
You can't.
No, you can't. Well, I appreciate you answering my questions, my friend. See, that's how you answer questions on this show. When MAGAs call into this show, and sometimes they're afraid to, I understand. But when they call into the show, why can't they answer questions directly? Why do they spin? Maybe because they're in the Bill O'Reilly spin zone. Oh, wait, there's another sexual abuser. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Kathy. Kathy is next. What's up, Kathy?
Hi, first time calling your show. I just stumbled onto your show and I really love it.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this whole DEI thing. It is just disgusting to me as a Black woman. I just heard that, no surprise, Zuckerberg is getting rid of their DEI program.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I don't know how much more I can say.
Yeah.
I have been in the corporate world for about 25 years or more.
And Kathy, if you don't mind me asking, what is your race, if you don't mind me asking here, since we're talking?
Black. I'm
Okay.
a Black woman.
Good. Then I want to hear.
Yeah,
Then I want to hear from you on this. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's okay. 92%er. I voted for Kamala, and I'm not ashamed to say that. I've worked in the corporate industry for 25 years, and I have had to train people that went on to go to management positions up in the corporate ladder. And I have not been able to be promoted, but that's okay because I take pride in the job that
Well,
I
I'm
do.
sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, but I want to ask you a question. What do you make of the
Sure.
fact that in the hours, not even days, hours after these fires started in California, that middle-aged, crusty white Republicans were blaming it on DEI hires within the fire departments? As a black woman, what goes through your mind when you hear somebody say that?
This is what goes through my mind. When I hear someone say that, and I think about Black Wall Street, the people on Black Wall Street who own businesses, and they circulated the money through the black people because a lot of the white stores didn't want to. I'm just trying to give you context here.
Sure. Yep.
The white stores didn't want to do business with them. But they built wealth within their own community.
Yeah.
And the white vendors got very upset and very angry that they weren't getting the black dollars.
Right.
So they went in and burned down Black Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Today, they tell us, and this is the irony of it all, you tell black and brown people, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You don't need a handout. Pull yourself up. You're supposed to don't play the victim here. Do you know?
Right.
And maybe you can get something.
Yeah.
But when we do that, they say that we're DEI hires.
You know who I think the
That
real
ain't-
DEI hires are? Those in Donald Trump's administration that are not qualified at all. They're his friends. They're
Not
people
only
that, yeah, they kiss the ring. They're his friends, completely unqualified. Of all the people that he could have chosen to be the next attorney general, he chooses Matt Gaetz. He chooses Robert F. Kennedy Jr. with no medical experience at all. I mean, it's a joke, some of the people that he's chosen. No, the real DEI hires are those in Donald Trump's incoming administration.
I think the problem is that black success equals white fear. And there is a commentator called Roland S. Martin. I don't know if you know
Roland
him.
has done my show before. He's a great guy.
Yes, and he's talked about the book, and I've read the book called White Fear.
Yeah.
And in that book, he nails it. He absolutely
But I think it's
nails
fair. Tell me if you disagree. He does. But first of all, I say Make America Great Again is a slogan that means Make America White Again. But number two, I would say in general, most of the people that I talk to that voted for Kamala Harris and most of the people I talk to that are on the left do not see people like you as a threat. Most of the people that see people like you as a threat are people on the far right, those that are MAGA supporters. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And if you look at it through this context, they're afraid because the old guard is no longer the old guard.
Right.
America is going through the brownie. They cannot stop it. It's going to happen.
All we can do, Kathy, is this. People like you will always have a platform on this show to speak your grievances and speak your mind. I welcome it, and we are going to continue to talk about these issues on this show, whether MAGA racist, middle-aged buffoons that happen to be white, the same idiot that wouldn't shake Kamala Harris's hand as she was swearing in his wife. I will continue to call out those bigots on this show. And as Don Lemon said on this show on Monday, that guy is a racist, old, bigoted POS. And by the way, for somebody on social media that just said, oh, they shouldn't have cut the firefighter department, another moron that has no understanding of anything. They cut the fire department by 2%. They had massive budget cuts. They cut the fire department by 2%. 2 points. Number one, if you think these fires were started and these fires were out of control because of 2% budget cuts, then you are an idiot. Also, look up where the pressure was given by the LA mayor. Now, listen, I'm not here to defend the mayor. A lot of mistakes were made. But she had a ton of pressure from elected Republicans to cut the budget. And she only cut the budget when it came to firefighters by 2%. So to even insinuate that that's why this took place makes you an imbecile. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Claude. Claude is next on PTL. Hi, Claude.
Hi.
Hey, what's up, Claude? What's on your mind? Go ahead.
Oh, what's on my mind? Well, I'm Canadian. Okay, I'm French-Canadian, basically. So I will excuse my English a little bit because
that's okay. You're doing
sometimes
fine.
it won't be perfect. But when I heard Donald Trump said, "Hey, we're gonna have Canada be the 51st state,"
right?
I was mad like hell. I couldn't believe it.
So I'm happy you called in. What do most of your, because you're in Canada, what do most of your Canadian friends think about Donald Trump claiming that he wants Canada to be the 51st state? So when Donald Trump says you should be happy, that you should be honored, what is your Canadian response to that?
I said, hell no. I say, hell no.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
You see, we had a survey recently, okay, here in Canada, asking if Canadians wanted to join the U.S. 12% said yes. 85% said no.
Yeah.
The rest don't have an opinion.
Claude, why is he saying this? Like, we all know that Trump is not well, not all of us, but at least most people that call into this show like you, we know that Donald Trump can't be taken seriously and he's a moron. But why would he want Canada to be the 51st state? Why would he even bring something like this up?
You know, I always thought that Donald Trump was a fascist. I will say the word, he is. And if you look back in history, why Hitler invaded Austria?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was for the primary resources.
Right.
What do we have in Canada that you don't have in the U.S.? Cobalt. We have it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of water, a lot of fresh water.
You don't have a lot of guns, which is why you guys are, your healthcare is certainly better than ours. You don't have a lot of gun violence there, you know.
Oh, we have that too. And
you have it.
Okay.
You have it, but it's certainly not at the levels we have it here. These school mass shootings all the time. And, you know, it's a big problem we have in the United States that Republicans don't seem to want to fix. What would be your message? I'm curious. To the not even Donald Trump, but to the MAGA Republicans out there that think that you guys should be the 51st state, Claude, what would be your message to them?
First of all, if you are aware, in case of you don't know, I'm aware a little bit of your Constitution. There is steps to do that.
Mm-hmm.
There is steps. It's not just, okay, I'm going to take that country and bring it to the U.S. They can't. Donald Trump can't do that.
Right.
The only thing he can do is ask if he want to, but the recent survey says no.
Yeah.
We don't want to. We want to keep our country as it is.
Well, I agree.
We are a constitutional monarchy, okay?
Yeah.
Our chief of state, it's not the president, it's the King of England.
Claude, you're right. Claude, I'm so glad you called to get your perspective. You're not going to be the 51st state. It's not going to happen. Donald Trump is a complete ass clown. And I'm so glad that people like you listen to this show. And Trump, the world is laughing at us. Trump is an embarrassment. If he doesn't want to start a war over the Panama Canal, or he wants to use military force to take over Greenland, and he wants Canada to be the 51st state, this man is such an idiot. And I'm so glad you called. All right, now we go to the MAGA Destroyer, the official MAGA Destroyer of the PTL Radio Show. Darlene, what's going on, man?
Brian, now I have two things to say, and I want everybody to listen. And that goes for MAGAs too. And you know, people always think I'm just always cutting down the MAGAs. Let me compliment y'all. I do appreciate you guys calling in to Brian, because we do want to hear everybody's sides of the story. But anyway, enough of that. Now, here's my two things. You know I'm from Oklahoma. Markwayne Mullin is a despicable human being. We cannot stand him. I'm saying that for my family. We cannot stand him. And as far as somebody kissing the knee, no, honey, he wasn't kissing the knee. He was sucking that bang. Got y'all. Y'all thought I was going to say something. But now I have another. But the best part of all, now listen, guys, if MAGA, put your money where your mouth is. If MAGA really wants to make America great again, I think all the billionaires, Elon, Trump, everybody, all the money that you guys are going to make from your tax cuts, I think every bit of that money should be donated for the fires and the people that lost people.
Never happened. I don't disagree with you, Miss MAGA Destroyer, if I can call you that, but never going to happen. They're more interested in culture wars and selling their books and selling their Bibles and their own self-interest. That's all these people care about. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They certainly don't care about the fires. All they care about is attacking Gavin Newsom because they see him as a threat. And then they see a black woman that happens to be the mayor in LA, and the first thing they want to do is attack her and attack DEI hires. They could care less about these people that are losing their homes. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julie. Julie is next on PTL. Hi, Julie.
Hey, Brian. I love Darlene so freaking much. She speaks what I think.
She's the best. Yeah.
That she is. Darlene, I know you're still hearing or listening. Girl, I admire you. I'm from Tennessee, and I wish I could meet you one day.
She's a firecracker, that's for sure. And she's fun. And, we have new callers every day. They call in every day. Hey, this is my first time calling. It's the only time I've ever, which I appreciate. And then we have part of the PTL family, I would like to call them, and they make the show great in what it is. And I appreciate all of them, people like you and people that listen to the show religiously. And I appreciate all of you very much.
I actually listen from YouTube.
Oh, cool. Now that's definitely what I would recommend. By the way, my YouTube page, shameless plug, is at PTL Radio Show. All right, Julie, what do you got for me today? We've covered a lot of issues here. What do you got for me?
Oh my Lord. There is so much. And Trump trying to make political points on a fire? Are you kidding me? I've lost my home to a fire before. It wasn't a forest fire, but
yeah,
it was my mom's first suicide attempt, and I remember losing everything. So I can sympathize with those people.
Well, I think we all should. We all should. I got to say, it's difficult to sympathize for a guy like a James Woods, but I did. And when I heard him crying on CNN, I felt really sorry for him and his family. I did, even though I think he's a despicable human being. But you see, it's only okay for men to cry if it happens to them. But if it's Tim Walz's son or anybody else on the left that shows emotion, they'll go after them for their manlyhood. But then when James Woods cries, which I don't see anything wrong with, that seems to be okay. I find that very hypocritical, but that's who these right-wing MAGA turds are. See, I'm going to call it again, turds. You're all turds. And if anybody on social media has a problem with me calling a MAGA supporter a turd, then you can go take a hike and have turds for breakfast or dinner or lunch. I don't care. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Tammy. Tammy is next on PTL. What's up, Tammy?
Hi, I have a problem with everything that's going on in the country and why we don't get things in order with changing some laws, like not allowing felons to take any type of place in state or federal government.
Can you explain
that? It shouldn't be allowed. Why can't we make a law that says, sorry, but if you have a felony, you cannot run for an office in state or in the federal government? I don't want criminals running my country.
I don't want criminals running my country either. And I'll give you a localized story where you have the second in command within the Republican Party here in Clark County who was accused of charged with stalking and abuse. Yeah. And yet, they hide these stories underneath the rug. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, right? No. Look at what happened to Al Franken, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And listen, I don't defend Anthony Weiner. He's done this show before. He's done some really stupid things.
He has. He's done some very stupid things.
He served his time, but they would never, the Democrat Party, and I understand, they would never want him to run again. But yet, when it comes to Donald, such a big difference between both parties, right? If you're a convicted felon, the left doesn't want anything to do with you. But apparently, if you're a convicted felon on the right, they welcome you. Yeah, it's okay. They welcome it. They welcome it.
And the other thing that bothers me a lot is, I'm sorry, but if you're working in the White House, that is not, hey, if your family, come on in. I'll put you up and let you run everything in here, and you can have, I think it was his son-in-law that did not pass for clearance.
Right.
But that didn't matter. We'll just do it anyways, because we don't care. We just override everything, because what they say is it may not be the truth, but it's the alternate truth.
Amen, my dear. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your call. Can you imagine Tulsi Gabbard getting security clearances? somebody who is clearly a Russian asset who has failed to ever call out Assad for anything. All right, the MAGA phone lines are open. They've been open the whole show, but sometimes MAGAs are afraid to get into it with me. 702-221, understandable, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the show, 702-221-7283. How do you feel about your convicted felon leader now? How do you feel about that? Let's go to Carlos. Carlos is next on PTL. What's up, Carlos?
I'm from California originally. I actually live in North Carolina. I stumbled upon your YouTube show. I love what you do.
Thank you.
I appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
I'm a young black man in America, and the hypocrisy from the right is unbelievable. What you were saying about they're more concerned about culture wars than they are about the constituents is right on message. We have these fires that are going devastating California, devastating citizens, devastating property, and the first thing they want to talk about is DEI hires or Gavin Newsom this or Democrats that.
But these aren't even people that call into this show or water cooler talk. We're talking about elected officials. We're talking about a Scott Jennings who's a paid contributor on CNN. We're talking about some people that are in powerful positions that are claiming that DEI hires. Let me be very clear on this, and I know that you know this, sir, but to my MAGA morons out there that are listening, there is no evidence to support that if you're hired black or white, that the training is any different. Just like when Charlie Kirk said, when I get on a plane and I see a black pilot, should I be worried? No, doofus, because they're trained the same way that a white Klan member like you would be trained. There's no difference between the way they are trained, and anybody who thinks otherwise is either a racist bigot or both an ignorant imbecile. I don't know what else to say.
They don't know what DEI is. That's the problem. They just assume DEI means that a brown person that has no educational background in that particular field is just being picked up off the street and placed in these positions. So there's just a random Joe Bob flying this plane that just happens to be brown. He has no pilot's license, apparently, because that's what DEI means. It's not qualified people of all races.
Can I ask you?
Whatever. It's just brown people.
Can I ask you, as an African-American man, you tell me if you disagree with this or not. I think most MAGA supporters, maybe not all, but a lot of people on the far right, when they use the term DEI hire, it's another way of calling somebody like you the N-word. That's what I think.
It's exactly what it is, because that's exactly what they want to say. I mean, I'm 100% with you on that. That's exactly what they want to say. That's exactly what they want to say.
And they use the term DEI hire to replace it, and it's like when they say, make America great again. I asked them, when was America great? When women weren't allowed to vote? When black people weren't allowed to use the same fountains as white people? When they say make America great again, it means make America white again. That's what, every time they say it, that's what I think. Am I wrong in thinking that? That's what I think.
Nope. Every time I see make America great again, I just it flashes a Klansman.
You know what would make America great?
That's what I see.
Let me tell you what I think would make America great. Spare me a moment here. Take all of these MAGA bigots, the imbeciles and the racists that are in this country, those that have a 20 IQ, and go ahead and deport them to two different places, either Gaza or Russia. That's in my opinion, that would make America great again. Get all the bad people, the racist turds out there that attack transgenders, attack the LGBTQ community, use the term DEI hire left and right. All of those people, deport them all, send them on a plane with brochures, the way Ron DeSantis put those people on a plane with brochures to Cape Cod, but we're not going to do that. Send them to Gaza or send them to Russia or the Ukraine, and then we'll see if they want Ukraine to win the war. So many of these turds that aren't even willing to say they want Ukraine to win. Go ahead and ship them out there and see how they feel about it, and they would answer it the same way. That's my America. That's how I would make America great again.
I served in the Marine Corps, and, the highest ranking officer that was caught on January 6th was the Marine Corps captain. I deployed with him, if we're talking about the smorgasbord that is what makes up the United States, service members in general, it disgusts me when I hear a service member, like a MAGA service member. I served in 2010 to 2015. The military was pretty apolitical at that time. It was 2016. The second Donald Trump started making his emergence, I guess you could say, is when the military became what it is now.
Well,
it's so hyper political. And
suckers and
that's doing
losers.
all types of people.
Suckers and losers. I don't respect him because he was captured. The same guy, the same orangutan who dodged the military multiple times. I appreciate your call, my friend. You call back anytime. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. Let's go to Carl. Carl, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
Listen, I don't know if you heard today, Biden, before he's out of office, but the fires in California was something Trump wouldn't think of.
Right.
But there's like over $60 billion worth of damage. People's homes burned. They didn't have insurance or whatever. He's going to cover he's setting up to cover anything that California needs from the federal government to take care of that. Something Trump would never even think of.
Well, Trump would never think of doing something like that. And it's really hard to have conversations with people that are so ignorant. There's somebody on social media. I read the comments from time to time because I laugh at them. Oh, would you be willing to fight in Ukraine? First of all, we don't have any military members. We don't have any service members on the ground in the Ukraine. So your question is idiotic. That's number one. And the point that I make every day on the show, which clearly this imbecile doesn't seem to understand, is we can want Ukraine to win. It doesn't mean we should have to go there and fight the war physically. We should want Ukraine to win the war, and we shouldn't be rooting for an evil, murderous dictator in Vladimir Putin. Donald Trump was asked on a debate stage, who does he want to win? He wouldn't even answer the question. So somehow we should have military members on the ground. Otherwise, we shouldn't be helping our allies is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, you remember back when he was on the stage with Putin and they were having a conversation.
Yeah.
And it was broadcast. And he said, well, Putin has nothing to do with our problems. And he said so, and who wouldn't believe him?
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
No, Carl, it is unbelievable, but I don't tolerate ignorance. And sadly, there are a lot of people out there that are very stupid that want Russia to win. And they don't understand the ramifications worldwide. Is he going to take over Taiwan next? If Vladimir Putin can take over Ukraine, what's he going to take over next? But people don't think like that on the far right because they're idiots. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Doug. Doug is next on PTL. Hey, Doug, what's going on?
I got to tell you something. I've heard you several times over the past year, and every time I've watched you, your scholarship is solid. Your information on the law is solid. Excuse me. I can't believe this whole situation and listening this morning about the whole situation with Donnie Rotten and all of his little Russian pals over there. It's unbelievable. The whole thing it's perverse and unbelievable.
It is. I never thought we would be in this spot that we are in now in 2025.
100%. Not to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Kelsey, Gabbert,
yeah,
all of them, every single one of these people. And the fact that they're on the oligarch payroll, I want to tell all the people out there, I don't want to take a lot of your time. Tell them to follow the money. This thing goes back. This thing goes all the way back. And I'm telling you right now, when the Nazis fell, okay, who was Hitler's banker in America? And that person, okay, was Prescott Bush.
Mm-hmm.
He worked for Brown Brothers Harriman.
Yeah.
He was Hitler's banker. He was kicked out, as you well know. They closed that bank.
Well, here's what I know. For me, without getting into the Hitler stuff, I will tell you this: Donald Trump writes love letters to Kim Jong-un. Donald Trump has never said anything negative about Vladimir Putin. In fact, he just recently said that he understands why Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine. This is a guy who admires evil, murderous dictators, and he insults our own politicians on a daily basis. Brilliant, decent, hardworking people on a daily basis. But when it comes to evil, murderous dictators, he will not call them out. Think about that for a moment. 70, thank you for the call, sir. 702-221-7283. Let's go to David. David is next on PTL. Hey, David, what's going on, man?
Hey, Brian. I'm a second-time caller living in Southern California. I feel that billionaires like Zuckerberg and the wannabe president Elon Musk, if they donate money to the president, they can speak their mind free because they know he won't do anything to them at all. They can blow smoke and just put out there lies after lies after lies. And that's terrible. It really is.
Yeah, it is. The problem that we are facing here is that you have a very large, there's a lot of problems, but we have a large contingency of people in this country that are brainwashed by Fox Noise and Newsmax and OAN. They listen to every word Donald Trump says is truth. And they're so complicit and they have no sense of reality and they believe what they see and what they hear. And when you have so many people that believe in something and they can't spell the word fact, that's how we get into the situation we are in now. We're a liable, sexual abusing, 34-count felon, swindling used car salesman is going to be the leader of the free world again, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, when he was in office the first time, and we had fires in Northern California, he said it was the state's fault. All the fires were on federal land. So how come how is it not the federal fault, but the state's fault?
David, you're right. And listen, I was in that space the other day, and somebody said that these fires are all arson. Now that's one thing to say. They're entitled to their opinion. I don't think all of them are arson, maybe some, but then said that it's an Antifa member and they started these fires because Trump is getting back into office. These are some of the dumbest people that America has to offer. They watch their Alex Jones every day. They listen to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speak his BS, and they listen to Donald Trump talk about electrocuting sharks and Hannibal Lecter. These are some of the dumbest people that America has to offer. And if you don't believe me, if you went to a Trump rally, you would understand what I am saying. David, I appreciate your call, sir. Please stay safe out there in Southern California. And I appreciate you calling in. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the show. We have a few more minutes left to calls. Then we have Nicole Mitchell coming up here in 10 minutes. Let's go to Mathan. Mathan is next up on PTL. Hi, Mathan.
Hi, Brian. How are you today?
Hey, good. What's on your mind?
I just want to say thank you for being here. I'm in Southern California, and I'm probably 20 miles from the fires.
Wow.
And the wind has been crazy. We haven't had any electricity for the last 2 days. So this is the first day I've got to watch you this week. And I feel almost normal now. It's so good to have you here.
Well, I'm glad you're safe. Let me just say that, number one. I'm so sorry that you haven't had electricity. My sincere apologies to you there. I mean, what do you do? I mean, luckily in California, right, it's not 20 degrees, but what do you do without electricity out there? You just try to stay warm and bundle up?
Sitting here staring off into the dark.
Oh, geez. I'm so sorry. That's terrible.
And it's weird when the electricity's out. I mean, everything is out. It's just this profound silence because people don't realize that electrical wires emit a tiny sound and there's no street lights or anything.
That
it's
sounds
like
horrible.
black.
But that's what MAGA supporters do every day. They stare into the dark and then they blame it on DEI hires. That's what they do. That's what they do.
This is true.
Well, listen, my dear, I want you to stay safe out there. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Please call back in next week and let us know how you're doing. And God forbid, I hope those fires don't reach your home.
Yes, we're fine as long as the winds don't change. It doesn't burn over the mountain. I should be fine, but
okay, let's hope so.
I'm not too worried.
I'm praying for you, and I hope so, my dear, and I appreciate you calling in. How dare there be no electricity? Then you don't get a dose of me every day. So Brian making it about himself. Gosh, I'm starting to, Donald Trump must be rubbing off on me. I must be a narcissist. 702-221-7283. Let's go to CJ. CJ is next on PTL. Let's go, CJ. What's going on, man?
Hello. First, I'd like to say I care for the people of LA who are in danger and et cetera. And I hope that FEMA can do as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a gay male and I'm feeling like I went back to the mid 80s because I have to try to hide a whole lot more than I ever had to since
CJ, I'm very sorry that you feel that way, and I believe you. Who do you blame for that?
I blame mostly a lot of the Republicans who think that we're dangerous and et cetera.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to live life and find love.
You know what's interesting? And I agree with you, by the way. You know what's interesting is that a lot of these people think that people like you are sinners, right? And you shouldn't be raising children. And, they just say the most despicable things. But what's interesting is they never tell people not to go to church. How many young boys have been molested by the clergy? But yet they want to talk about transgenders.
Bingo.
They want to talk about transgenders as if somehow a trans woman going into a woman's restroom, is such a threat to them. They want to talk about people like you, but yet they never want to talk about the clergy. I find that very interesting.
So do I.
But not surprising, because a lot of these people are bigots. They're bigots.
Not surprising.
They're bigots. That's what they are. Let's just call them what they are. These people who call people like you sinners, not knowing anything about you other than your sexuality, they are bigots. Matt Walsh is a piece of human turd. Matt Walsh is a bigot.
Oh, yeah.
Candace Owens is a bigot. And sadly, they make money off their bigotry. It's no different than a Grand Wizard Klansman collecting funds at a local Klan meeting. That's exactly what Matt Walsh is, only on the larger scale. That's exactly what Candace Owens is, just on a larger scale. That's exactly what Charlie Kirk is, just on a larger scale. They go to their Klan meeting, which is the internet, and they make boatloads and millions of dollars passing that can around with the funds. They spread bigotry, and their bigoted followers donate to them. That's how they make money. It's no different than a Klan meeting and a Klansman collecting money. No different.
Yes. And if they actually followed Jesus's teachings, they wouldn't have a problem.
Well, think about it. Who is their Jesus? Who is their Messiah today? Orange man.
He's orange.
Yeah, the orange orangutan is their Jesus Christ. Make no mistake about it.
I call him Orange Glow.
Yeah, that's a new one. I might steal that one off you if that's okay,
Sold
my friend.
on the internet.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, sir. And I'm sorry that you have to feel that way, because I certainly don't feel that way about you. And I think most decent Americans don't feel that way either. You should be who you are, be happy with who you are, and you shouldn't be afraid. But sadly, there are so many bigots on the far right that will judge people like you, but it ain't going to be me, and you're always going to have a platform to call into this show, my friend, and I appreciate you. Be safe out there. Thank you. 702-221-7283. Marty's next, I believe. Let's go to Marty. Marty, what's going on?
Hey, Brian, I am so happy to have found this today. I didn't know you were around. I just want to say to everybody that's on this forum, I am with you. This is a community that we need. And people must always speak out against misinformation continuously, over and over, like you're doing. And I would just like to make two very quick points why I called, because there's so many things going through in my mind, believe me. First, I just want to take a shout out to the guy who talked about the Hitler thing. I don't want to go down the road about Hitler.
Yeah.
But there was an incredible article that came out that was published just this month by the Atlantic that deconstructs the whole understanding of how Hitler came to power, and it should be read by everyone. And it happened in 2 months, and it's not the way it's been written in history. It outlines it all. So everybody that. The other thing I would like to say real quick, and I will continue to listen to you, Brian. I find this really great.
Thank you.
Is how disgusting it was to watch Jimmy Carter's funeral yesterday. And I grew up with Jimmy Carter. I admit my age. I was a teenager during his reign, and I looked up to him. I knew he was a good man, even as a young person. And he inspired in me social justice.
Yeah.
I'm a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, to sit there, just the picture, I don't know if anybody else saw this, but if I could have frozen this, they had Melania on the end, and then there he was, and he was making his look, his smirk.
Yeah, I saw that.
It was so disgusting. I could almost vomit, bro.
It is, but you know what? I agree with you, but I found some solace in knowing that George W. Bush and Mike Pence's wife and others, and even Barack Obama, refused to shake the hand of Donald Trump. I thought that was great. And Melania, sitting there all by herself in the corner, not talking to anybody. They're just miserable people. Thank you so much for finding the show and calling in, and I look forward to hearing from you. I want to share something else before we go to our next guest. There are some people that say I have Trump derangement syndrome. The people that say I have Trump derangement syndrome are people that have TFS. also known as Trump fellatio syndrome. Now, if you don't know what Trump fellatio syndrome is, or you don't know what fellatio is, because I would imagine if you're a man and you're watching this show and you're a big MAGA supporter, you probably don't know what that is. Just ask Mike Johnson, because he performs fellatio on Donald Trump every single day among 90% of the MAGA Republican Party. You have TFS. Speaking truth and being honest and not being afraid of repercussions for being honest and being truthful is the opposite of having a syndrome. It's called telling the truth. So go back to your TFS and go back to performing fellatio on Donald Trump and wearing your Donald Trump knee pads and pleasuring yourself to his poster of the orange orangutan before you go to sleep. So now let's talk positive stuff. Let's get to some positives, shall we? Yes, let's do it. To talk to us every Friday, as she always does, you've seen her on the Kimmel Show. You've seen her on Dr. Phil, the former pastor, now turned OnlyFans model and life coach. The very beautiful Nicole Mitchell joins us on a Friday afternoon. Nicole, it is great to see you as always. How are you?
I'm so good. Happy Friday. We could use some good news, Brian.
Yes, yes. You know, a lot of people obviously are struggling in California right now. And you live in California to start, but you're a ways away from the fires, right? Where are you compared to where the fires are at?
We're about an hour south of the fires, so we're safe, but it's crazy. Our whole backyard, all of our furniture is covered in ash. And I
Wow.
lost my voice yesterday because of the ashes in the sky. And we're an hour away. I can't imagine people who are closer. It's
Wow.
just so tragic and devastating.
That is so horrible. Wow, an hour away and you still have ashes all over your yard. That's kind of wild. I would imagine everybody has that. That's
Crazy.
How bad was the wind out there?
So bad. We get windy days, and it's just so horrific that the time we're having a fire, our stuff was getting knocked over in the backyard. So it is perfect conditions for spreading fire like crazy, and it's just such an untimely situation.
If you don't mind me asking, do you guys have insurance when it comes to fire? Because you own your own home. How does that work?
Yes.
You
We
do.
do, and we almost didn't get it because of this is such a problem. Insurances are pulling out of California. I was just telling friends this week, now after these huge fires, I can see more insurances, unfortunately, canceling and no longer providing coverage. So it's getting harder and harder for people it's harder to be viable to live out here. So I think more people
No.
are having even a harder time getting coverage, if any.
Well, I mean, sometimes we need a little bit of levity, right? I guess that's in one situation where insurance companies and Donald Trump have something in common, where insurance companies are pulling out. And well, I'll leave that joke as it is. 130 grand, though. I mean, I don't know. I would consider it. But anyway, let's move on to some more positive things. So renewable energy is something that a lot of people talk about in this country. And we've just learned that all Chicago buildings are now running on renewable energy. This is we hear a lot of bad things about what's going on in Chicago. The black on black crime, the gangs. This is a pretty darn cool story. Tell me about this.
I feel like we're living in the future in some ways, right? We have this huge city run by renewable energy. 70% is on renewable energy. The remaining 30%, they are investing in other renewable forms. The goal is to be completely, fully renewable energy only by 2035. But it's just extraordinary because sometimes I wonder, do we humans have the ability to save our planet? And there are days where I'm like, no, we're too stupid, we're too shallow, we're too corrupt. And then you hear good news like this and you're like, wait a second, maybe we can actually make this work.
Yeah, it's a really cool story because, like I said, there's a lot of always negative stuff that comes out of Chicago. This is a really here's another positive one. 50 years ago today, Ella Grasso became the first woman to be elected to serve as a state governor in the United States. We almost had a female president. Didn't work out the way a lot of people hoped it would have. But what do you make of this story? 50 years ago today, being a woman, this is pretty cool. It's a pretty historical day.
Yeah, it's a historical day. What a huge accomplishment, achievement. Sad that it's only 50 years ago and not 150 years ago.
Right.
And what's extraordinary, she came in like a boss, took drastic measures to help the city. And I think during such a sexist time where I'm sure she faced so much prejudice and resistance, but she came in like a boss, rearranged massive things for her state and helped the state a lot. And I want to know more about her story. What was it like to make such drastic measures to help the state when facing so much oppression and sexism? I just have so much respect for her to do that. I think if you got that position, you would try to play good girl and follow the rules, but she's like, I'm
Yeah.
in here and I'm going to change things up to make this place better.
I
Pretty bold.
agree with it. It's very, very cool. I want to talk about firefighters for a moment with you, because as you know, as we speak, firefighters are risking their lives out there, going into harm's way. And I have so much respect for what they do. They're heroes. And I don't think people talk about that enough. And when you look at these firefighters have been interviewed, they've been working 27, 28-hour straight shifts, wearing that equipment. And how, I mean, if I had to wear that equipment and do half of what they did for 20 minutes, I'd probably be out of breath. And
yes.
What do you make of that? Like, when I see firefighters, the first thing I think about is like when I see a member of our military, hero. You're serving the country. You're risking your life every single day so that we have the freedoms to be able to do what we do. And yet, listen, we don't have to get into the political aspects, but, on the far right, DEI hires and all this other stuff, it's such nonsense. I mean, when you see a firefighter in your hometown, what goes through your mind?
Honestly, I feel like society doesn't give them enough credit. They're seen, to me, and this is how I was raised, they're seen as like cute. Like, oh, you go to the fire station and bring cookies, and like they'll do like demos, and you bring your kids out and put on the little hat and like climb in the truck. You don't realize the life-saving and life-endangering work that they do for their job, how fit they have to be to wear the heavy equipment, the risk they take exposing themselves to cancerous chemicals on a regular basis. All why? To keep people safe and alive. So I just feel like we don't give them enough credit. I don't think they get enough coverage, and I don't think they get the amount of respect that they deserve.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you just said. Great movie, by the way, on firefight back in the, I want to say in the mid 80s. I don't know if you remember the movie Backdraft, but that was a phenomenal movie. I want to say that Stephen Baldwin is in that movie. It was one of the Baldwin brothers. Such a really, I think De Niro was in that movie as well. Really, really good movie. And real life of what some of these firefighters just have to go through. I can't imagine what they're going through to have to drive past all these burning homes, right? They have to pick their spots, and they have to go to areas to try to save lives. And yet they have to drive past schools that are on fire, that are burning down, and all sorts of different other buildings, right? Thousands, right? Thousands. I think they said like over 3,000 buildings have been burnt to a crisp. What do you think that's like to have to drive back to your home and it's not there anymore? Like, I don't even understand. I can't comprehend it.
I was just talking to my partner about it today, because we're a family of 7, and I was like, what would we do if our house burned? Where would we go? Where can we find a house that'll fit 7 people to provide some sense of normalcy, to be able to keep our kids in school while, because rent out here is astronomical. And so, like, do we get the rent? We've just lost our money. And now people are fighting insurances because insurances don't want to pay out. And it puts people in such a hard spot. I think it has to be so traumatizing, so overwhelming. And I'm just devastated that so many people are going to have to navigate this for months and years to come. This is not going to be done over quickly.
No, it's not. The damage, what are they saying? $60 billion plus, and it's probably going to be. It wouldn't surprise me if it reached $100 billion when it's all said and done, because as we know, the fires are still going strong. And last I checked, my producer gave me some of the stats that I'll read for you. Palisades, 8% contained, over 20,000 acres have burned down. It's like a war zone in there. Kenneth is 35% contained, 1,000 acres. Hearst is 37%. 771 acres, and then Eaton, where I think 7 people have died, almost 14,000 acres, 3% contained. So this is ongoing, right?
It's ongoing. I actually just got a warning this morning of where I used to live 20 minutes north of here. They now have a fire watch. So it went from an hour away to now 20 minutes away. And so we're just, there's anxiety, there's fear, while we're crossing our fingers and hoping for the best at the same time.
And my producer just shared with me that some of these fires are bigger than the entire city of Miami, which is, that just gives you kind of the scope of this. Well, I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad your family is safe, Nicole. I will also announce this on the air right now while you're here, that Nicole will be co-hosting with me here when she is in town in a few weeks. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for that. It'll be a great change of pace. I'll leave it at that. It'll be a nice change of pace.
So much fun. I cannot wait, Brian.
We are going to have a good time. So Nicole, stay safe, you and your family. Don't lose your voice, because I need your voice when you come out here in a couple weeks.
Exactly.
And it is good to see you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
You too.
Okay.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thanks, Nicole. There you go, everybody. Nicole Mitchell, former pastor from a very right-wing leaning family. She got out there, and now she's doing what she enjoys to do as a life coach. And I need some life coaching myself, by the way. But in all seriousness, a lot of people every day say, how can I get more involved with this show? I want to support what you do. I mean, how many people do we just have call in today that said, this is my first time I've heard your show. I love it. I love all of you as well. The best thing you can do for me, obviously, is spread the word. Going on my YouTube page and watching the show live is certainly a great thing if you can do that. Go to my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. At pushingthelimits.live, you can make monthly donations on there. Doesn't matter what it is. Whatever you can afford, we appreciate. It helps us keep the lights on here and do what we do because we're an independently owned show. It means nobody can tell me what I can or can't say. I'm not owned by anybody, right? So if you want to support what we do, go to the website, pushingthelimits.live, make donations, buy some merchandise, and we appreciate your support in advance. Of course, Jackson's Bar and Grill, the official gaming bar of the Pushing the Limits radio show. Big supporters of what we do here. You can win up to $500 in free slot play in their Pass the Puck contest if you're there watching a Vegas Golden Knights game. Plenty of promotions there, plenty of opportunities to win free slot play. Great food, great atmosphere. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. And if you're new to the show, this is a show we do 12 to 2 Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, every day. Somebody said, why don't you do a show 7 days a week? I said yesterday, and then I would be insane if I did that. I need my weekends. But we do the show Monday through Friday, 12 to 2 p.m., and we're live everywhere. Besides Facebook and the Occupy Democrats Network and the Washington Press Network, we're on so many different avenues where you can watch the show. Of course, my personal YouTube page is the best, so please subscribe for free at PTL Radio Show. And we always put my email on the bottom of the screen, so all of you can always reach out to me, and I try to get back to as many people as I can. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope all of you have a wonderful weekend. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do this show. So I want to thank all of you for being loyal listeners and tuning in. We will see you on Monday, live, same time, same place. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.